Things just lined up absolutely perfectly for the Toronto Blue Jays as we have some brand new reports that have dropped surrounding Bichette that not only has fans fired up, but is absolutely perfect. We're going to break down these new reports and discuss what they mean going forward. But not only that, we have the Jays making multiple moves and ahead of what's going to be an absolutely hectic, crazy next few weeks and even next few days of rumors, reports, and signings as free agency is officially underway. They've started off their moves by making several, and an update at the end of the video you're going to want to stay tuned for. I guarantee it is some more positive news surrounding Buck Martinez. A ton to go over today, folks. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. We just hit 21,000 subscribers. The goal now is, of course, 22,000 with a bigger goal of 25 and 30,000. So I see every one of your comments. I heard of the ones yesterday. We're going to play that game again later in the video. Stay tuned for that. But folks, you guys are unbelievable. Let's dive right into the video. Now, we know Ross Atkins came out. He spoke out yesterday, and there was a lot of new information surrounding Bichette, surrounding how they're feeling towards him, and ultimately the way that things are going. But let's start with the roster moves that have been made yesterday before we dive into some of the newer updates surrounding Bichette that, quite frankly, are super encouraging. But let's start with this. So they made their first batch of roster moves because free agency officially opened. So they extended a qualifying offer to Bichette, which we'll break down in a few moments here. And you can see some other guys were reinstated from the 60-day IL, most notably Bowden Francis, Jimmy Garcia. Brandon Valenzuela was selected to the major league roster. He was, of course, a catcher in the acquired in the Will Wagner trade. Ryan Burr and Dylan Tate were both free agents now, and then someone else clear waivers. So for those of you wondering, does this mean we keep Bichette? Does this mean that they are going to keep him going? No, it does not mean that. However, all basically is in a qualifying offer, which is a procedural move, ensures that if he departs as a free agent, the team receives a compensatory draft pick. So very good news anyway, because if he does leave, which hopefully doesn't happen, God forbid it happens, we do get the Jays that is a draft pick in return, and this was always going to be given to him. He's going to decline it, and then he's going to look for a better deal. But also of note, Ryan Burr and Dylan Tate, like Ryan Burr was supposed to factor into the bullpen pretty heavily here, so he is now gone, which is, interesting. We'll probably, they'll have to fill his spot with other guys, and I mean, it won't be too hard to do, especially with Jimmy Garcia and Nick Sandlin returning. Now that the moves are out of the way, folks, let's dive into some fun stuff here. As Keegan Matson dropped an article talking about one way or another, Bichette will be the biggest story of the Jays offseason and kind of diving into how important this offseason truly is for the team. And then right after that, late last night and this morning, an article from MLB Trade Rumors that, basically gave a bunch of different reporters, analysts, former front office people. They gave their predictions on Bichette, folks, and it's good stuff. All four writers predicted that Bichette returned to Toronto. Some other names predicted to go to Toronto, and we'll dive into these in future videos. But Edwin Diaz, Devin Williams, all these guys, like the Jays are seen as, from other writers. You can see this right here. So these were the predictions, and from MLB Trade Rumors, top 50 MLB free agents with predictions. Guys like Steve Phillips, I believe, are in there. A lot of people who know ball. They have the Jays, 4 out of 4 of them, of the writers and analysts, predict the Jays to sign Bo at 8 years, $208 million, with Bo being the second highest ranked free agent. Now, of course, this is just a prediction, but the reason this is so important is it is very rare where you have all 4 writers predict one team to get a player. Now, we've seen this with the Dodgers, we've seen this with the Red Sox, the Yankees, all these different things. But for the Toronto Blue Jays, they are always on the opposite side of the spectrum, where John Heyman, all the New York writers are pushing people away, saying the Dodgers are going to get Bichette, all these things, which stay tuned for a video on that coming later today or tomorrow. There's a lot of dumb BS narratives going on about that, but I'll have a video on that because it is an interesting talking point. The Jays are the team that is predicted to get Bichette, whether that be from Keegan Matheson, whether that be from other guys like, 4 out of 4 of the writers here. It's representing a shift in culture. And I'll use this article yesterday. I'm going to use it again. This was from 2024 when the players, I believe, voted Toronto is the 3rd most intriguing destination and best destination to travel to. So you pair that with all these things that are happening. The Jays are predicted to get Bichette, and everybody's predicting that. Does that mean they'll absolutely get him? No, it just doesn't. That's not the way it works. But at the same time, this was a little tidbit done up where someone summarized on Twitter, of course, how much of an impact, summarized Ross Atkins' comments yesterday, and he talked about how Bo, and these are the comments from Ross Atkins' press conference yesterday, just consolidated. Bo has already had a massive impact in the organization and ability to win on the, win both fan base over, but also at the highest level. And he basically said that we will be in his market, and the lack of negotiation before reaching free agency is out of respect and his right to get to free agency, and that they have thought about running it back. But Very good. Like, this is perfect for the Jays. You have the writers predicting that the Jays are going to get him. You have insiders saying that the Jays are all in on him. Ben Nicholson-Smith, Shai Davidi, all these different things. It almost feels like things can't line up any better for the Jays to actually go out and re-sign Bo Bichette. They just have to go out and do it. But not only is the number at 8,208, I'd do that yesterday, right? Just get it done. Yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but we saw immediately how much, value they can get back. It also has the Jays getting some, a couple guys, some interesting names here. Ranger Suarez, Edwin Diaz, Devin Williams. They're going to get a couple of these players, and I'm super excited to see it. So let me know what your thoughts are on the moves, what your thoughts are on everybody predicting Bo Bichette to go back to Toronto. And it's nice to be on the other side, and things are lining up perfectly with how everything is, starting out. And it all started with just yesterday and a couple days ago, or 2 days ago rather, the Shane Bieber opting in 2 or 3 days ago. So it's a good start to free agency. But let's dive into some other news. Now, a couple different things here. I want to start with an interesting tidbit here. Now, you can see here this is also just kind of dive into the point of how everyone thinks and feels that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to go out and get these guys. If you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you're that fan base, you are excited about 2026 and the future moving forward. And this is on MLB Network. So before we dive into the next thing, everybody believes it, right? It's not just the Canadian media. It's the American media. Think about what Alex Rodriguez and all those guys were saying about the Toronto Blue Jays. It's all good things, and I'm just super excited for it. And something else I'm super excited for, ladies and gentlemen, is not necessarily Bo Bichette, even though it is. It's Buck Martinez. Now, this dropped yesterday, and I wanted to cover it because it deserves a little tidbit here. We also have something at the end of the video, but not that it needed any follow-ups, but can confirm that Buck Martinez is in negotiations with Sportsnet for next season. So quickly dive into this. Very, very good news. And we know that he obviously was dealing with cancer and all these different things. We all wish him the best from the Jays family, everybody, right? And to hear him call the games yesterday, or not yesterday, in the World Series were absolutely fantastic. I'm over the moon that Bo Bichette is, not Bo Bichette, I'm mixing up the names, that Buck Martinez is going to be hopefully returning to the booth within the negotiations. Now, not only is Sportsnet negotiating with Buck Martinez, they're also negotiating with Mark Shapiro, who we found out is going to get an extension. Not only Mark Shapiro, we found out that John Schneider, they opted into his contract, which means that he is going to be the Blue Jays manager for next year. But they're also going to be, he's going to be Blue Jays manager beyond that, right? They're working on an extension for John Schneider. So they're trying to keep the whole crew intact. And we talk about running it back. We talk about all these different things that are going on, being the Jays fan base. They're going to try to run it back with some additions. They're going to keep John Schneider around. That's what he said during his press conference. And most importantly, maybe above it all, Buck Martinez is going to be returning to the booth in 2026. But folks, that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this. Some very interesting tidbits here that have dropped. And we're going to keep you up to date every step of the way. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below Jays Digest. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.